Obame Gonye Dongye Mejo Onjoy Soem Dain Jasom Lasoy Gi Denbe Doye Monlam Di Daim De Nyo Do Dumba Jinjila Duzo Deya Da Bensan Deya Baboda Na Yezo Deya Da Bensan Deya Baboda Na Yezo Deya Da Bensan Deya Baboda Na Yezo Sharadai di bulai di ngejemezo Shari boy zingi bu zingi boy mo gang la la sherangi marol de jimba samoy joba domba de di da namba da wa de Tongboy nga moy de dai jang dai shinji tongba number yang ba dang ba jesu dao so tongba wo tongba ni zo zo tongba ni shin ma yin so le tongba ni shin ma yin tongba ni le jang zo shin ma yin no de shin du shor wa dai du she dai di je dang number se ba nam toin ba wo Yen Ye Me Bai Mai Nge Bai Mai Ngang Ba Sha Di Bui De Dai Wei Nai Jo Tam Je Toi Man Ye De Di Ma Me Ba Di Ma Dang Da Lua Me Ba Di Wa Me Ba Gang Wa Me Ba Wo Sha Ri Bui De Dai Wei Na Tong Bai Nye La Zui Me Cho Wa Me Du Ji Me Du Je Nam Me Nam Ra Je Bai Me Mi Me Na Wa Me Na Me Je Me Lu Me Yi Me Zui Me Da Me Di Me Zo Me Je Ja Me Joy Me Doi Ming Gi Gam Me Vai Ne Ge Kai Me Ying Gi Nam Ba Jem Me Kam Gi Ba Do Yang Me Do Ma Ding Ba Me Ma Ding Ba Se Ba Me Ba Ne Ga Shi Me Goi Ba Doi Lam Me Yi Shi Me Doi Ba Me Ma Dong Ba Yang Me Do Sem Lai Dim Bai Me Bei Dam Me De Chin Ji Loi Le Shin Du De Ne Du Soem Du Nam Brai Shung Ve Sang Ge Dam Je Jai She Dam Gi Ba Ro Dui Jin Ba La Ten Ne La Na Me Ba Yang Dai Ba Song Ve Jai Jo Nam Ba Song Ba Sang Ge So De Dai Wai Na Sheram Gi Ba Ro Du Jim Be Nga Zing Ba Jim Be Nga La Na Me Be Nga Mi Nyam Ba Dang Nyam Be Nga Dui Nga Tam Je Zab Du Shi Wa Je Be Nga Mi Sum Be Na Dem Ba Je Ba Ja Te She Dam Gi Ba Rol Du Jim Be Nga Me Ba Te Ya Da Hong Ga De Ba Da Ga De Ba Ra Zang Ga De Bo Ri Zo. Just allow the resting of the mind. Homage to the noble lady, transcendent conqueror Pragya Paramita. Homage to Pragya Paramita, inexpressible through speech or thought, whose very nature is unborn, unceasing space.
the experiential sphere of self-aware wisdom. Thus have I heard, at one time the Blessed One, the Lord Buddha, the transcendent conqueror, was dwelling on Vulture's Peak in Rajgir, together with a vast assembly of ordained Sangha and the assembly of Bodhisattvas. At that time, from among the various dharmas, the transcendent conqueror entered the samadhi known as profound illumination. At the same time, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, the powerful Arya Avalokiteshvara, was looking deeply into the profound practice of transcendent wisdom, and saw perfectly that the five aggregates are in their ultimate nature completely empty. Then through the force of the enlightened one, the Venerable Shariputra asked the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, the powerful Arya Avalokiteshvara, how should noble men and women who wish to experience the profound practice of transcendent wisdom train? Thus he has spoken. Then the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, powerful Arya Avalokiteshvara, answered the Venerable Shariputra with his words, Shariputra, noble men and women, noble men, noble women who wish to experience the profound practice of transcendent wisdom should train in seeing this precisely. They should see that the five aggregates are in their ultimate nature empty. Form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. Form is not other than emptiness. Emptiness is not other than form. Just like that, feeling, discernment, mental formations, and consciousness are empty. Without characteristics, without birth, without ends, Shariputra, so are all things empty. They are not tainted nor free from stain. They do not wax, nor do they wane. Thus, Shariputra, emptiness has no form, no feeling, no discernment, no mental formation, no consciousness, no eye, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no shape, no sound, no smell, no taste, no touch, nor anything, no eye faculty potential, no mental faculty potential, no mental consciousness potential, and none in between. There is no ignorance, there is no end of ignorance, no aging and death, none in between. No cessation of suffering, there is no path, no wisdom, no attainment, nor non-attainment. With non-observed minds they have no fear. They go beyond all wrongs. Through full reliance upon transcendent wisdom. All the Buddhas abiding in the three times truly and fully awakened to unsurpassable, perfectly complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent wisdom is the mantra of great knowing. The unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequaled, the mantra pacifying utterly all suffering, as if it does not deceive, it should be known as true. The mantra of transcendent wisdom is uttered like this. Deyata Om Gate Gate Parasangate Bodhi. If there is one single sutra that you will read, that you will contemplate, that you will pay attention to in your life, in your particular lifetime now, that sutra may just be the Heart Sutra. Even if there are thousands of sayings of the Buddha, the Heart Sutra alone is a standalone sutra that you can bring along with you in the path of transcendence, the path of enlightenment. The Heart Sutra may just be the sutra that will matter in your life. The very wisdom in this particular sutra may just be the very guidelines that will really enable you, guide you in every moment of your life right now. Your life as you go through what you call hardships in life, when you go through the ordeals in life. Now, even as we have the pandemic going on right now, it can be the only sutra whose wisdom can guide you through this whole pandemic. Where the sutra begins, the pandemic ends. This one I'm saying not figuratively, but I'm saying this literally. The Heart Sutra is the cure to the pandemic. Gate gate para sang gate, bodhi soha. The entire guideline to the spiritual journey can be summarized in those few words. Gate para sang gate, bodhi soha. Sometimes we may add teyata om gate para sang gate, bodhi soha. Again, it is very, very important to really contemplate. So as I speak about the word contemplate, I'm not at all suggesting that you reflect or you think or you meditate in terms of trying to figure out by way of thinking the meaning of the sutra. This is not the real meaning of meditation, but we may use, sometimes we contemplate, we meditate, we reflect on the meaning of this particular wisdom of the Blessed One, the Lord Buddha. Again, let us go back to the first part. When he said there that the Blessed One entered the path of profound illumination. One may have meanings on the word profound illumination. One can give one's own definition of profound illumination. But there is a depth, a kind of profundity that I can suggest to you while you pray and read these wonderful teachings of the Buddha. You begin with entering the samadhi or entering the profound illumination. This entry into the profound illumination or the contemplation of this profound illumination is a stage where I may suggest it's a stage that does not entail the use of thinking, the use of thought. It entails the unfolding of spontaneity. And spontaneity is something that takes place where thought is not. It is also the basis for the bodhisattva, the enlightened being next to the Buddha. You see, in the first level, the Buddha enters into profound illumination. And as the Buddha enters into the profound illumination, the bodhisattva, the great being, the Mahasattva, Bodhisattva, the great enlightened being, is able to look into the nature of the five skandhas, or we may say the 5 aggregates. And as he enters into the understanding of the 5 aggregates, he is able, or she is able, to see that each of the aggregates are empty. The aggregate of what is called form, the aggregate of what is called feeling, the aggregate of what is called perception, and the aggregate called mental formation. Mental formation is the aggregate that creates karma. The causes of karma creates the effects of karma. And the aggregates also entails the understanding of what you call consciousness. In Tagalog, you may call it kamalayan. Consciousness. What the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara is seeing in this contemplation of the 5 aggregates, he is saying that the form, so what is it that we understand by form? Form usually points to the body. When we talk about our form, it is our body. Our body which we have named as our body. It is a body that we have described as an ethnically defined body. So the body is also defined by most of us as a body of a particular person who may be of this ethnicity or race. A body of a brown person, a body of a white person, a black person, yellow or red person. So it's defined by the description of the body, usually according to the ethnicity. It's also defined according to the gender of this particular person. So the form is the shape of the person. And everything that is seen may be recognized as form. So what did the Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara say? That the form that we see, I may call it body, this is the body of a white man, a white woman, a black woman, a black man, a yellow man, a yellow woman, a red man, and a red woman, or a brown man, or a brown woman. These are descriptions of ethnicity, descriptions of race, and it is defined by what you call form. So what was recognized in the profound illumination when the Blessed One entered into it? He was able to see that the form that we understand as form is really empty of whatever we put into it. What does that mean? So when you say this body is brown, we may immediately identify it as a body of a person from a Malay ethnicity or Malayan ethnicity. Or we may define this is a body of a Filipina or a Filipino. And a body that is white may be a body of a European or an American. This is a Caucasian body. So these are fundamental descriptions that we may try to describe the form, the body that is before us. So because of the entry in the profound illumination of the Buddha, of the Blessed One, the Bodhisattva, in the level where he is at, begins to see that what is being described as form, as body of a brown man or a white man, these are all elusive descriptions. What he is saying, the form that we see, that we understand, is empty of what we understand it with, or we understand it by way of a particular description. It means to say there is no such thing as a brown body or a Filipino body or a Native American body or a Chinese body or a European body. This kind of description is an illusion according to the experience of the Bodhisattva. When he says the aggregate of form is empty. These five aggregates that is being alluded to in this wonderful teaching of the Lord Buddha, these five aggregates are not really separate from one another. We understand the body because of what we see. So we are able to see the body or understand or experience the body by way of feelings. What are feelings? I can say I feel my body. I feel good. I just had a very good lunch. I had a good dinner and I feel good. What you are actually trying to say is that your body feels good, or your body is bloated because it ate too much. Or you may say my body is in pain. My body, that you say I am sick, which means to say my body is sick. I'm running a fever. I feel bad. I feel that I am sick. This is what is called the aggregate of feeling. I feel happy. When the body is gratified, it gets what it wants. It's able to eat the right food, that the body is able to enjoy a good sex, that the body is able to experience a sensation of bliss or joy, then it will say that I am feeling good, I am feeling bad. During the time of the experience of what you call you're feeling good or bad, the feeling seems to be very, very real. I'm feeling good. What the Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara was saying, that the feeling of goodness, badness, feeling of pleasure, feeling of contentment because of having eaten a good food or having good sex or being able to see a good movie or a good flick on television, when you're able to see good things, with your eyes, when you're able to hear good things with your ears, and you're able to sense very good sensations with your skin, and you're able to smell a good odor with your nose, and taste a very good food with your tongue, you have a good taste, you say they are good. But all these feelings, all these sensations that are connected to this feeling, according to the Mahasattva, these are empty of what you think it is. The good taste that you experience is in reality by itself, it does not exist. The description of a wonderful movie that you see on television or in the cinema is also empty of what you think it is when you say, it's beautiful. This is empty. When you're feeling very, very sad because a perceived negative thing has happened, some person you love passed away, or you heard something that did not sit well with you, or you felt something that did not sit well with you, that feeling of sadness or discomfort is ultimately empty. It does not really exist there. It is only something that is created by the mind. Which brings you to the next skandha. So we started with form, feeling, and then the third is what we call perception. The feeling that we have is based on a mindset that we have, based on a habit that we have gotten from all our experiences. The sadness that we have is based on a mindset, or what we call a perception of something that is based on memory. I'll give you another example. There's a belief, a very, very strong belief, especially in this country. When you miss your lunch at 12 o'clock, you begin to be hungry. Maybe very, very hungry if your lunch is delayed. in the way we understand it, there's really a reality of discomfort in our stomach, that we really feel so badly hungry. But a lot of times this hunger is only created by a mindset that we have conditioned our minds to have. A mindset that we need to eat at 12. Another thing that is so important for us to take a look into when we deal with what we call perception when we say to get old is suffering, to get old is terrible. So there is really no objectivity in what you call the suffering of old age. There might be an experience of old age that we see in the form. The body begins to get wrinkles. It begins to become weak. Then you begin to have crow's feet around your eyes. The hair turns white, and the hair begins to fall off. So we call this old age. Then we create a description of old age, that old age is bad, because when you begin to be old, you begin to be sick, you begin to be weak. So it is bad, because we begin to want to believe that people should not get old, people should not get wrinkled, should not get sick. That's why usually in our society, nobody asks people how old you are. You don't usually ask a lady, how old are you? You would say it's a mortal sin, it's a big sin to ask the age of a woman or a lady. This wrath, this discomfort about age is a mindset. It is something that is somehow created by what you call perception. You perceive something. Perception means the mind creates something. And when the mind creates something, it begins to have feelings of fear, feelings of anger, sadness. And it begins to affect the form. So the form that you believe that you have begins to be very, very uncomfortable. And the body can even get sick earlier than it should, because of the discomfort that you may be experiencing right now. But these are all coming from what you call perceptions, mindset. Which brings us to the other skanda. He said, the mindset is empty. It does not have any existence at all. It is something that is just going around that mind and beginning to solidify or reify the belief it has created about whatever you have created by your perception. And that perception is also a very fundamental factor in creating mental formation. So what are mental formations? Mental formations are really the stuff in the mind that processes. It's like a software. It processes the perceptions that we have, the feelings that we have. And you know what really happens, because of these feelings and the forms that has been very, very much solidified, and the perceptions, it somehow creates an illusion of what you call a separate self, which you give a name to. You may call the name of the person, or give a title like Lama, or you give a name John, any kind of name. And it's not just a name. Because of the apparent reification and solidity of the experiences somehow that have been magnanimously and very intensely felt by the feelings and the perceptions, it creates an energy that perpetuates this kind of intensity. And the perpetuation of this energy somehow seem to create some kind of permanency in the of the energy that is being created. So in the usual Dharma language that we have, these mental formation are some kind of a software, some kind of a mechanism that enables the repetition of such kind of experiences of feelings, perceptions, loneliness. It perpetuates the form, and so on and so on. And this perpetuation of of perceptions, feelings, form, over and over and over again, even if the form becomes old and cracks, dissolves and dies, it will continue to create a continuum of its likeness, which is in terms of what we call in the Dharma as rebirth. The rebirth is created by this mental formation, and this mental formation creates what you call the intention and the effects of the intention, which affects into furthering of rebirth over and over and over again. So this is what you call the dynamics of karma, rebirth. Some people call it reincarnation. But there's really nothing that reincarnates, because everything is empty. The ego is empty. That's why nothing really incarnates. The reincarnation is only apparent. But there seems to be a rebirth that takes place. It's like a continuum of different kinds of aggregates, of moments of nowness. You could hardly see its connection, its connecting to each other, because it's very, very fast. It's like a movie reel. When you put a reel on the projector, the reel continues to move very, very fast, as though it is one continuous story. But when you stop in the old movie, now we have a digital, so we don't see that very well. But in the old projector, you will see plates of different events. When they move very, very fast, it seems they're connected. There's no gap. So in what you call the effect of the mental formation, there seems to be no gap. This is what you call the cycle of birth and rebirth, cycle of birth, death, rebirth, on and on, on and on, and on and on. And this kind of cycle creates a terrible misery in all of us. Why is there misery? Because what really happens in this cycle is that the ego that is rarefied, that is created, seems to be very, very real. And what it wants to happen is that it wants to have a life that will not die, a life that will be always blissful, a life that will always be pleasurable. And the pleasure is connected to the ego, the pleasure of the body. I want to be having a pleasure of the body all the time. Pleasure in food, pleasure in sex, pleasure in whatever comforts there are, and pleasure in having this kind of grasping forever and ever. But because the perpetuation of grasping and creating goodness and joy in life is not possible, because grasping that is created by the ego will never bring about happiness, because in the first place it's an illusion. So we want something elusive to become real. Because of the wanting it to be real, then we begin to discover it's not real. So we try to create more illusions over this unreality, over this illusion. So when an illusion is resisted, and psychologically you don't want to accept the illusion, or you try to curate it or treat it with some artificial semblance of permanence, so to speak, then it becomes a delusion. This delusion is called idiocy. In my own terms, it's called ignorance in the Dharma term, stupidity. And this is the kind of consciousness that we will have based on the interdependence, of all the dynamics of the five aggregates. So because of this stupidity, this idiocy, then we continue to create karma, futurity of karma, create more and more perceptions that will create more karma, and will create more and more feelings that will gear toward more suffering, and it will continue to create more suffering up to the level of form. And now we have a pandemic. The reason why there's a pandemic right now, because our values are created on this idiocy. The pandemic is not a result of there's a bad virus coming out, but we have created a lot of idiocy with our ego, and the virus is trying to cut off the ego right now. Hopefully it would soon. So this is the great Dharma of the Buddha. The great Dharma of the Heart Sutra. The form that we see, no matter how beautiful it is, the kind of world, that we want to create, a world of consumerism, a world where our senses will be gratified, where our bodies will be gratified, where we would have a richness that is based on consumerism. More food, more money, more makeup, more delusion. That means to say more suffering, more unhappiness. This is a form that we create. So what does the Heart Sutra say? This form is emptiness, and emptiness is form. Whatever we do to it, to cover it, it is ultimately empty. We cannot change it by just wanting to change it. We have to see that it is empty. You can begin to start with your name. You give to your form. Maybe the name is Joan or John. The name of the lady is John, with the body whom you call John. But John is only a name. When you look at the body that addresses the name John, you cannot find the brand name John in any of the cells of the body of this person. Even if you move into the more subtle level of the molecules and the atoms and the subatoms, you cannot see or discover the particular name that you give. It's very similar to the shoes that you have. If you buy a very good rubber shoes, you may call it Adidas, then it has a particular value that you give. Well, the value that the idiotic consumerists give to it, say it's more durable, better than the one that you buy in Green Hills with the same name. But if you subdivide the components of the rubber shoes into a more subtle level, you cannot find any Adidas that is solidly in the elements. Whether it is the Adidas that is fake, from Green Hills, or the Adidas that you find in Rockwell, for example, you buy in one of those shoes. So all these things, the brand name is a delusion. It's an illusion. When you fight over the brand name with a lot of emotions, negative emotions, then the illusion has become a delusion. In education, you have your name. I use the name John. John finished with summa cum laude from his university degree. And he has all these degrees. If you look at the person, you can never find a degree in any of the atoms. The atoms, of the summa cum laude rich person is the same as the atoms of the idiot, walking in the streets. They're the same. So whatever title you have, whichever title you have in the bank, at the end of the day, those are nothing. Those are nothing. Some of you may be enlightened now, but I'm sure many of you will like to continue in your idiocy. So make your day. Tulog ka? Ano, Robin, does it make sense?
Realizing that the five aggregates are empty. How will you balance? It's nonsense question.
You're able to answer your question now. It's something like that. I'm now 70 years old. I like to look like 20 years old. How can I make myself 20 years old? You cannot, because you're 20 years old. I don't know whether there's supernatural cosmic ways, of altering DNA or atomic level. But if there's anything like that, be that as it may, when the time comes. But at this point in time, I'm 70. Then it'll be good if I have 10 more years to live. And I get wrinkled every time. And Karmapa is still going into her 40s. She's less wrinkled. But in a 5 years to 10 years, you'll be wrinkled. Rems will be wrinkled in 20 years. And you will have white hair. And you will begin to put brown hair, with your white hair, so that you will look younger. But we don't like white hair. I don't know whether that is true. You know, when my mother was living, my mother would ask me to pull out her white hair because she said it makes her itchy. That's it. Or maybe our getting old makes us itchy. Sometimes yung itchiness is also a resistance to what is. We may never know. So Olive can really curate herself, you know, by going into what you call the Photoshop session. and she will look like 15 years old, you know, with the 36, 24, 36.
Doesn't change my belief lang.
Yeah.
No matter what
Sa beauty, ano kasi ako dati, malaking issue talaga lang yung sa mga babae, pagdating sa appearance nila.
Kaya normally when you ask a lady, for example, ilang taon ka na, that is a no-no. You don't ask a lady. Hindi bali yung bata. Pag yung bata, masaya siya, sabi, ano na ako, teenager na ako. Pero yung babae, nasa ano na siya, nasa 30s na, you don't usually ask them, ano.
Parang, mukha na ba ako parang ang dating na hindi yung pati na, tinatanong mo lang naman siya.
Oo.
Pero yung dating sa kanila, offensive, bakit mukha na ba ako maganda, ano, parang yun. Tsaka ang dami na po ngayong mga pagpabata na
Illusion nga yun, yung ano.
kahit yung product namin kasi is age miracle, yung pampabata. Pero kung tutusin, hindi naman niya talaga pinapabata yung ano.
Tapos yung beauty product, sabi, forever living. There's no such thing, you don't live forever. Pero actually, life is forever. It is the form, you know, that disintegrates, pero the life continues. Pero hindi naman natin naintindihan yun. Sa atin ang life, yung katawan natin, hindi na ano yun. Pero pag na-accept mo yun, then yung misery mo will be lesser. Hindi nagmamatter na yun.
Kasi parang mawawala lamang din yung attachment. Parang attachment sa form. Or any kind na parang output ng isip or anything na may form. Parang mawawala yung attachment mo once na realize mo na it's form. Parang probably or at the end of the day it's form.
Then every day you really look into that, ano na yun. What you call idiocy is talagang you really believe in all these illusions. And pinaglalaban mo yung illusion mo, yun ang idiocy. Magpapakamatay ka para sa paniniwala mo, kala mo yung paniniwala na yun, ultimate na yun sa mundo na yun. Are you learning from this? Oli, magtanong ka naman. Tango ka ng tango. Enrollment, can you ask the question? Ano na tayo?
May tanong ako lang eh.
Yeah.
Ayaw lumabas eh.
Mga nakatulog para
Nakatuto kasi sa iyo.
Gilid na.
Seryoso tanong yun.
Hindi ba? How do you balance?
Parang
No, I tutulungan kita, how do you balance? How do you balance, your life in the midst of the tension, between the reality of impermanence, change, old age, and the world, desire not to die, not to get old, to look young all the time. How do you balance that thing? Ngayon, pag nakita mo yung emptiness, yung emptiness na yan, I know it's empty. Alam ko, tumatanda ako. Pero how do you balance that? Pag nakita mo yun, I can do anything about my figure. Kaya matanda na ako, sabi ko, mas gwapo ko sa inyo lahat, kaya mas matanda ako. Mas matagal ang pagtayo na sa akin kaysa sa iyo. So mag-compare tayo dalawa. O yun, binabalansi ko yun. Pero pag hindi ka pag insecure ka sa sarili mo, mahirap mag-balance. Kasi ikaw mismo insecure ka. Kapag nung ako, ang hirap, ang daming tao insecure. Naging manager ako ng kumpanya noon. Nag-interview ako ng mga tao. Tapos, tatanungin ko, ano ba, kaya mo itong trabaho na ito? How much money would you like to get? Magkano salary? Pag sinabi sa akin, bahala na po kayo. Sige, bibigyan kita ng 5 pesos per month. Okay na sa iyo yun. Yung ganun, baksak na sa akin kaagad yun. Ayaw kong tagapin nyo. Kasi yun yung mga tao na walang gagawin matino sa kumpanya mo. Yun ang mga tao hindi magtatrabaho, matutulog lang yun. Masaya sila na kanilang salary, ganun lang. Yung mga excellent, yun ang marunong magbalance kahit mahirap ang sitwasyon. Alam nila mag-surfing dun sa na yun. Pero medyo shallow yun. Pero yung na yun, yung sa old age, kasi kahit paano, kasi nga halos lahat ng tao takot mamatay, hindi ba? Pinakita ko sa kapatid ko, lahat ng mga kaklase ko, nung elementary ako, 35 sila, patay na lahat. May mga nabubuhay siguro sa amin, mga anim lang kami. Pero yung mga yung mga tao na yun, dati vibrant yun, mga mayayaman yung bully, sila yung magugulo, tapos sila nagsusuntukan sa klase yun, pa nag-away yun, yung mga bata pa nag-aaway. Ngayon, patay na lahat sila, gano'n, yung mga tao na yun. Nakita ko, na-insecure, kumakain si Luningning, itong babae na ito. Ang tingin ko, insecure siya, matanda na siya, parang gano'n. Ang sinasabi niya gano'n, matanda na ako, pero may pera ako, sabi niya gano'n. Ewan ko ba niya sinabi may pera siya. Wala bang interest sa pera yung...
Bili ng lalaki.
Makakasinabi ko.
Sabi niya, may pera ako, sabi ko, good luck, yung gano'n. Sabi ko, pero ako, I intend to live for another 20 years. Gusto ko, pagdating ko ng 95 years old ako, pwede pa akong magkaroon ng 2 anak. Okay. Seryoso ako doon. Hindi ako nagloloko. Yung binabalance ko yun. Kapag isang kaklase ko, summa cum laude namin yung sa klase, barkada ko yun. Nakatira sa yung sa ADB dati. Sabi ko, pare ko, kailan tayo makita ulit? Let's paint the town red, you know? Bata pa tayo, sabi ko, wala na. Na lang tayo, puro anal sex, analyze na lang. Sabi ko, wala na sila. Wala na silang capacity to, yung gano'n, parang, saka napapansin ko yun, Cloven, yung mga ka-age ko, even younger sa akin, na mga younger ng 5 years, nasa 60s pala, hindi na nagpe-Facebook, nasa bahay na lang, parang nagpapahinga na lang sa bahay. Ayaw din napakita yung itsura nila, tumanda sila, nagbago na yung katandaan, yung itsura.
Alam mo sa I felt that, nung meron kaming reunion na parang high school ata, meron kaming parang alumni homecoming ng batch namin ng high school. Siyempre, ilang taon na yon, parang 20 years, 18 years na ako nagtuturo. Mga 26, siguro 26 years ago, parang gano'n, iisipin mo, parang, alam mo yung parang, bigla ko naramdaman sa sarili ko na, ay, ayoko pumunta. May, yung parang biglang may gano'n na parang, ay, ayoko pumunta. Kasi baka mamaya, parang, na kayang, lalo na parang if that happened, at the time na down ng self-esteem ko, na mababa yung may inferiority complex ako, yung parang feeling ko ayoko magpakita kasi baka ma-judge ako na parang baka mamaya sila parang hindi naman tumanda, or baka mamaya sila mga parang kumbaga may kaya na, oo, may mayayaman na nga dati, baka ngayon na sila, parang mga managers na, mga ganito, ganyan. Yung parang all of a sudden yung creation ng mind mo, it puts you down all the more, na yung gumagawa ka na ng sarili mong multo na you're aging, na you're unsuccessful, tapos hanggang sa after nun, alam mo yung, hindi ko naman sila nakita, pero parang yung multo became real in my mind, na eto na ako, parang loser, I'm a loser, parang yung gano'n, na it went on for many days na gano'n, pero it was not, parang it was just created by my own paranoia, by my own fears na, ay baka mamaya wala pa silang wrinkle, ako may mga white hair na baka sila, wala, ganyan, yung mga gano'n.
Kasi parang meron ka na agad na expectation na this should be parang ganito.
Inunahan mo sila sa judgment. Before they judged you, ginudge mo na yung sarili mo. Yung Lama, gusto kong itanong about the scandals. kadalasan sa mga nagiging problema with the members of the mandala, yung mga naging concern nila is how to balance the practical side dun sa practice. Di ba yung kagaya ng kanina, we were listening to the concern, yung sa mga, siguro baka yun yung purpose kung bakit ngayon inalaw na mapanood natin ma-view natin yung video nung concern ni Bong, na parang, paano ko kakain? Paano ko parang paano ko kikita ng pera? Parang ganyan, na kumbaga, he spoke, parang actually he spoke for the other members. Kasi lahat ng dumaan dito, kasi kahit kami, yun ang mga naging concern namin before, na yung parang, paano kung magtatrabaho? Eto, ang dami mong pinapagawang, parang gano'n, ang dami mong pinapagawang devil's advocate, ang dami mong pinapagawang sadhana, kailangan namin mag-meditate ng 4 hours.
Kailangan ka magdala ng lechon,
kailangan mo magganito, kailangan mo magganyan, tapos kung kunwari, kung pinapapursue ka, mag-a-attend, let's say, attend ka ng, yung mga usual, natin, drama na, paano ka mag-a-attend ng retreat? Wala kang pambayad. Paano ka mag-a-attend ng retreat? Magte-take ka ng leave. Ganito, ganyan, para mababawasan yung kikitain mo, ganun. Parang on the practical side, di ba? Parang ganun, on the practical side, I need to live. Kailangan kong kumita ng pera. Kailangan kong magtrabaho. Kailangan kong magganito. Pero eto, pinapagawa mo sa akin. So parang, yun yung mostly concern ng mga...
Pero at the same time, na-address mo yun. Maka-attend ka na retreat, wala kang pera, maka-attend ka na retreat.
Yeah, hindi. Ako, I've been through that. Alam ko na.
No, what I'm trying to say, whatever you're going through, anyone can go through that.
Yeah. Naalala ko yung sagot ni Father Joey, kasi dati yun, si Father Joey na parang, paano ka may time noon na, bago pa lang din ako noon sa meditation, tapos, ang concern, paano ka mag-meditate ng 2 hours? Ganito, ganyan. Basta parang mga yun, yung mga usual concerns, mga practical, parang gano'n. Sabi niya, just do it. Just do it. Without, entertaining any thoughts, without entertaining na yung, paano, once na mag-start ka palang mag-question, just do it. Na parang, paano yung frustration, hindi ako just do it. Paano yung sadhana, yung meditation, masama pakiramdam ko, just do it. Tapos pula na, tapos na drama mo, yun lang. You just do it. Paulit-ulit lang, just do it. Hindi ako makapunta, wala akong pamasahe, just do it. Hindi ako maka-attend ng retreat, wala akong pambayad, just do it. Tapos yung
Kaya sabi ko yun, paano kung gagawin nyo, paano kakaya? Trabaho ka, sabi ko kay Buong. Binigyan mo nga ng mitigation yun. Kalimutan mo na yung pera, basta gawin mo lang yung pinagagawa sa'yo. Si siya na nagsabi na ako, kasi araw ka siya, magtrabaho ka para magkaroon ka ng pera. Sa trabaho ko, ganun ka wala siya. Tapos pumasok si Kandrol mo, kalimutan mo na yung pera na yun, basta gawin mo lang yung mga medyo naglaylo na siya ng konti doon. Pero hindi rin yun.
Kasi parang nature naman natin yung parang when things get hard, parang the mind always parang naghahanap ng something ng easier way or ng parang security. Na parang...
Pero again, yung easier way na yun, part yun ng perception mo, yung perception na sinasabi ng skanda. What makes a way hard or easy depends on the perception that you're creating. Mindset mo yun. Pag sinabi mo, mag-frustrate ka ngayon, gumawa ka ng 100 frustration, mahirap na, hindi ko kaya, pagod. Nag-create ka na ng conditions, ng perception. Hindi mo na magagawa yun. Kasi create mo na nga yun. Alin?
Yung nature ng isip.
Tawag doon idiocy. kaya hindi ka magtataka bakit pa ulit-ulit yung idiocy, galit na galit ang mga tao kasi totoo.
Lagi siya naghahanap ng parang alam mo yun, nang-iisipin, nang dadramahin,
madrama kasi talaga yung ego.
Parang
sobra.
Gusto niya laging parang may movie scene na supposed to be dito ka-dramatic yung entrance, yung paggawa ng ganitong bagay, ganito ka-dramatic yung pagpunta mo.
Gaya kagaya nun, may dengue nun si Rohan, nakakonfine siya, di ba? Tapos meron kami retreat sa bahay. Di nakakonfine, kasi nakakonfine si Rohan. Tapos, hindi ako dapat na a-attend. Sabi ko parang sa ko, I can't leave him here. Hindi ko pwede iwan yung anak ko dito na ganyan. Tapos yung parang, nasa mind ko na naman, anong sasabihin ng magulang ko? Paano ako magpapaalam? Paano ako aalis? Sino magbabantay kay Rohan? Ganyan, parang ganon. Tapos, parang, ang alis ng bus noon, parang 9 o'clock ata, parang ganon. Tapos, si Rohan, nasa 7th floor, 11th floor ata ng hospital, ng World City. Tapos, sabi niya, Mommy, look at the sky. Sabi na, look, it's bleeding. Nung pagkatingin ko na gano'n, alam mo, sabi ko parang, shit, I have to go. Sabi ko, doon na ako Kasi, eksakto nung time na yun, si Ray nagpunta din, araw-araw. Sabi ko sa kanya, sabi ko, Ray, kung magpunta din yung ilang days. Sabi ko, mag-attend ako ng Sabi ko, mag-attend ako ng retreat. Sabi ko, kahit na overnight lang ako, magsistay lang ako 2 days, 5 days ulit. 2 days, ganyan. Bit ako, isang set lang ng damit. Isang t-shirt, isang pants, isang underwear. Kasi yung pang kinabukasan lang, gano'n. Tapos babalik na ako naman nila. Pagdating doon sa terminal, hindi ako pinayagan nila sa bagay na kami. Hindi ako pinayagan nila. Alam mo, grabe talaga yung galit ko. Parang, this is so unfair. Life is so unfair. Tapos parang, it seemed like a valid reason na parang yung anak ko nasa ospital. Ganun talagang galit na galit ako na valid yung reason ko. Yung anak ko nasa ospital. Kaya hindi ako pwede mawala. Ganyan. Pero talagang hindi pumayag yung sila. Tapos yung papagalitan ko ka, parang ako, ang unfair naman na nahihirapan na nga ako. Parang grabe na nga itong pinagdadaanan ko, na nag-worry na nga ako sa anak ko, ganito, ganyan. Tapos papagalitan mo pa ako pa yung mali, parang gano'n. Doon, drama talaga, as in drama talaga. Pero alam mo yung afternoon, parang na yung hindi ko rin alam kung paano yun nangyari. I stayed until 5 days. Damit ko pa ulit-ulit lang. Laba lang ako ng laba. Underwear, ganyan. Tapos ulit lang ng pants, ulit lang ng damit, ganun. Kaya parang, after that, alam mo yung parang pasalamat ko na kahit gano'ng kahirap. Alam mo yung kahit gano'ng kahirap. Tapos yung parang, wala namang sinabing masama yung magulang ko, walang sinabing masama yung mommy ko. Tapos parang wala rin naman ako narinig na hindi maganda ng kay Ray. Kumbaga, everything went well. Kaya nag-adjust din sila, ganyan. Parang, tiwala ka lang talaga dun sa kung ano ipapagawa sa'yo. Yung akala mo imposible, just do it. Magugulat ka, nairaos mo. Natapos ng ganito, ganyan. Yun, tapos yung parang, ganun lang pala yun. Ang drama lang pala talaga ng ego. Akala mo, ang bigat ng dahilan mo, akala mo, hindi mo kaya, akala mo, imposible, ganyan. Pero, wala, parang, it's a test in faith. Sobrang test in faith, test sa trust mo, test sa refuge mo. Kasi, doon mo makikita na, pero kung titignan mo, parang kung pwede mabuang-buang na parang, shit, yung anak ko, di ba? Parang kasi,
pero ilang araw lang siya sa after na retreat na siya
wala na. Lumabas na sila ng parang after 2 days, parang parang naging normal na yung platelet count niya ng parang 2 days lang ata ako sa Baguio nung Tapos okay na, tapos sabi niya, lalabas na kami, tapos tapos parang na lang, bank, nag-transfer na lang ako ng pera para pambayad sa hospital. Yun, kaya alam mo yung parang kung may trust ka, everything will be taken care of. Yung akala mo na, hindi, ego ko ang bahala dyan ego ko dapat yan Parang, yung ego ko kailangan magtrabaho, yung ego ko kailangan mag-prepare nito, yung ego ko kailangan gawin to, ganyan. Pero, just do what is asked. Gawin mo lang kung ano yung sinasabi ng deities. Everything will be taken care of.
Pero may mga tao
Na
sobrang dali sa kanila yung faith or yung trust. May tao din naman na hirap na hirap pagdating sa trust.
Mas marami yung gano'n, yung hirap na hirap.
Yes, Lama. Kaya nga sabi mo, parang yun nga, yung nakaraan na sabi mo, faith is a gift. It's a gift from God.
Meron sa kala mo, faith, immediately naniniwala kayo, pero pag dumating yung konting hirap, wala na yun. Hindi ito ang faith yun.
Matest ka lang ng konti.
Madali mag-faith ha kapag nasa good times ka. Pero
Ito nangyari sa akin, matindi ito eh. Nawawala yung mga estatwa ko kasi mga milyon na mga halaga na nawawala. Pag nawala, problema nyo. Gusto nyo kunin, masaya kayo. Ganun.
pero pag ikaw yung nandyan sa ganyan sitwasyon, hindi mo malalaman hanggang hindi ikaw yung nasa sitwasyon talaga.
Alam mo kahit ako hanggang ngayon, minsan nasusurprise pa rin ako yung looking back, yung sa nangyari sa akin. Looking back, parang talaga, kinaya ko yung hindi ako na-afflict. Na parang napagdaanan ko yung bagay na yun ng ganito lang kaikling panahon na parang minsan ako nagugulat pa rin ako na nangyari ba talaga sa akin yun? Parang
Pwede nga.
ang feeling ko nga nung time na yun, alam mo yung parang shock lang ako all throughout. Yung parang wala akong feeling na
Parang hindi ko pa nadadigest.
hindi,
Nangyari.
na parang tapos na, ganun.
Minsan lang talaga surrender mo lang.
Alam mo, importante itong na ito, yung the Buddha looked into profound illumination. Yung Buddha, pero dito kasi sa ating yun ang highest level ng Buddhahood. Kamukha si Dorji Chang, yung sinasabi ko. Sa ating tradition kasi, si Dorji Chang ang nasa highest level. Ngayon, yung looking into the profound illumination, kala mo tumitingin, hindi. Actually, pumapasok siya sa dimension na walang ng emptiness, talagang total emptiness. Yun ang tinatawag sa tradition ng mga Kristiyano, yung being, yung philosophy. Yung meron tinatawag na being, doing, saka having. Kasi yung magme-meditate ako, doing. Yung having, yung meron kang equip ka for yung being, wala kang gagawin. You just stay in that profound level ng illumination. Yun ang pinakamataas. Kasi pag nag-iisip ka, doing ka ng doing, pipilitin mo mag-meditate kahit tutulog-tulog ka naman sa meditation, walang masyadong value yun. Natutulog ka lang. Ginawa mo lang sleeping time yung meditation. Yung profound, yun yung sinasabi ko, pag pumasok ko sa gano'n, kahit napakasakit ng katawan ko, yung parang gumagano yung puso mo, para sabog ka, you just go into it, may makikita ka doon. You will see kung ano talaga, may makikita ka, yung wisdom lalabas doon.
Parang technically lang, hahayaan mo lang lahat. Parang accept mo lang lahat, tapos sumuko ka lang without any complaint or without judging sa lahat ng nangyayari.
Just be there.
Just be there.
Kaya na napaka-insecure mo, marami kang problema, just be there. Huwag mo sabihin, magdadasal ka, huwag ka magdadasal. Mawala na sana problema ko, sagyawa mong just be there. I'm just here totally with all these things. Wala ka expectation to end yung suffering. Just be there, with the most painful level na suffering mo. Parang yung highest, deepest level ng insecurity mo, just be there. Makikita mo what will, just stay there for about 20 to 30 minutes to begin with.
Yun yung
Parang titingnan mo siguro, parang sa extreme pa, na parang usually pag kunyari may gagawin extreme sa atin, ihiwain yung katawan natin or may hiwain. So parang instead na looking out, parang titingnan mo talaga siya, raramdamin mo lahat yung simula paghiwa, parang gano'n. Being there.
Hindi, yung iba yun, yung paghiwa,
Analogy ko.
yung paghiwa kasi merong yung ego mo doon, ginagawa niya. So, kaya create siya ng situation na sakit. Ito hindi. Nandiyan na yung situation na yun, matindi na yun. Dala-dala mo na yung sakit ng buong pamilya mo, sakit ng buong mundo, at nasa katawan mo na yun. Parang kung usually pa nangyari yun, parang kamukha nalulungkot ka. Ano gagawin ko doon? Manood na lang muna ako ng TV, yung mga gano'n. Kung minsan manonood ka ng TV sa sakit, hindi mo makayanan yun. Parang you have to do it para medyo mamitigate lang ng konti. Pag kaya na, balik ka ulit doon. Merong masakit, parang nagbo-bloat yung dibdib mo sa parang iapakin ka sa puso.
Parang nangyayari, like yung yesterday, na parang I've been wanting to cry, ano pa lang, tanghali pa lang kahapon, I've been wanting to cry, kaso I don't want my kids to see it. Yung parang, it might, ang feeling ko parang hindi nila, baka hindi nila it might have a different, parang a negative effect on them, na yung, hindi ko rin alam, baka mag-worry sila or ganun din.
No. You just have to allow them to see where you are, yung being mo. Now when you go through that experience, then after that you tell them what was happening, and that is the way. That could be the way to treat your own loneliness, when it takes.
Pero yun nga, what happened was, nanananghali kami. Ang feeling ko, parang they were sharing in my pain, parang they were sharing in the pain na that was the first time na we were eating quietly. As in, wala sa aming nag-uusap, wala sa aming nagsasalita. Alam mo, parang we were just paying attention to the food, walang nagga-gadgets, walang kumakain. As in, yung kain kang ganyan, tapos yung parang nakaganon. Nagpapakiramdaman kaming tatlo. Actually, para kami nagpapakiramdaman tatlo for almost an hour na ganon. Tapos yung parang, pagdating nga doon kila mommy, it was also an opportunity na, parang hinayaan lang nila ako sa kusina mag-isa. Mommy ko nagtatrabaho, daddy ko may nagpo-computer din, tapos si Rohan nandun sa room, si Ray nandun sa balkon. Tapos ako yung nagluluto ako mag-isa. Alam mo, parang ang feeling ko parang I was very present in what I did dun sa pagluluto. Andun lang lahat ng emotions ko. Parang dun nabuhas lahat ng emotions ko. Hanggang sa nung pagdating ko dito, yun nga, dun na bumagsak na yung parang tsaka lang bumagsak lahat yung lumabas lahat ng
Pero usually,
pati
usually bago ka magluto, you just sit, in there, do not cook, just be there yung kasi pag nagluto ka, mapupunta yung affliction sa pagkain mo.
I did. Actually, ganun yung nangyayari. Kasi yung kunyari, habang
Baka masira pa ang Sandy Cloven nyo pag sira.
Naisip ko nga baka kumakain sila naiiyak.
Hindi, yun mo nang wag ka muna gumawa ng just be there totally sa sadness, sa anger, ganun.
Ganun yung...
Kaya kunyari nagagalit, sabi ko, ba't ka naman magalit? Yung masama yung nagagalit. Wala. Pag galit ka, raw feeling yun. Basta be there. Kung sabihin maling magalit, hindi maling malungkot. Nalulungkot ka nga. Pag sinabi mong mali, pipilitin mong hindi ka magagalit. Hindi, yun, hindi healthy yung mamamatay ka nang hindi wala sa oras doon. Olive, tahimik ka. Anong nangyayari sa iyo?
Very, it's very heavy dito.
Kanina pa, habang nagsasalta sila.
Kanina pa.
Actually, yung heaviness niya, konektado yan yung kay James na nararamdaman ko dati. Anak niya yun. So, mararamdaman. Kahit yung anak ko na malayo sa akin, kahit yung anak ko nagsasaya-saya doon, may mga bisita, kuminsan sila, kumakain, masaya. Nalulungkot din ako kasi hindi nila nakikita yung nangyayari sa paligid, yung Sa akin, mahalaga itong mandala na ito kasi tayo na lang nagsusurvive na ganito dito. Yung mga tao wala silang pakialam sa ang nila matapos na yung pandemic na ito para happy na naman sila. Hindi ganun ang mangyayari. Buti nga yung bata, hindi ibang klase yung bata ito, hindi katulad ng mga ibang bata ito. Di ba?
Iba yung energy nila.
Iba.
Iba? Kasi minsan magtatanong ka na lang, saan nila nakukuha itong energy na ito? Kahit buong araw. Grabe, sabi mo. Sana may ganyan din akong energy. Minsan nagiging insecurity ko or parang naiingit ako dun sa energy niya.
Hindi, siya yun. Iba ka.
Yun nga po. Yung ego mo na parang sana may ganyan ka rin energy. Parang kami bagsak na kami po. Tapos sayaw ng sayaw, kanta ng kanta. Parang, pero minsan nakakatulong din kasi parang nalilift niya yung kahit pagod ka na. Parang
Nung maliit ako na bata na ganyan ako, umuupo ko sa tabing ginagaya ko yung mga nagtuturotot sa orchestra, makapatutugod, tapos nagtuturotot kunyari ako, part ako ng orchestra.